my talk, I want to say one line that mathematics is the only place where truth and beauty mean the same thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, madam. And I express my feelings of gratitude and thanks for your able guidance and support for organizing this international webinar in our college. So thank you so much, madam. Now this is time to listen our webinar topic from our keynote speaker. It is my pleasure to introduce the esteemed speaker, Dr. Sridhar Naik sir. And I proudly say that sir is from Odisha and now say he is in Japan due to his destination of knowledge. Presently, sir working as a program specific association professor of Disaster Prevention Research Institute, Kyoto University, Japan. And his achievement, sir qualified GATE in mathematics, holder of Human Research and Development Scholarship from India, and Australia Academic Scholarship from Austria, and also sir awarded as the Young Talent Researcher Level A Fellowship from CNPq Government of Brazil. As a researcher, sir has published more than 3 dozen publications in international journals and reviewed publication more than 1 dozen manuscripts. Also, he has been invited as a research person near about 70 international conferences. So, sir, he is an active member of Japan Society of Civil Engineering, Japan Society of Hydrology and Water Resources, Meteorology Society of Japan, Japan Geophysical Union, and American Geophysical Union, etc. So now I would like to request Sridhar sir to deliver speech to our participants. Welcome sir to this webinar. Sir, please. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Shashmita madam, for your
presentation. Welcome, sir.
Okay, first of all, I would like to thank to the principal of the Ramona Degree College, Jyoti madam, and for all arrangements to Shashmita madam and all other staffs who are involved in this webinar. And I am very pleased to be invited to speak something about my work in front of the students and the staffs and other participants around. I think it is international around the world through this webinar. I am very much happy. So I don't want to take much time talking about these things because Madam Jyoti madam and Shashmita madam had already told many things. So I like to start my presentation, which is let me share my presentation. Okay. Now you can see my screen, right? You can see my screen. You can see my presentation. Can you see my presentation?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so today I will discuss about mathematical analysis of heavy metal. So before I start, I will first like to introduce the different parts of mathematical.
Sir, presentation is not visible, sir.
Not visible?
No.
Sharing your screen. Not visible?
No, sir.
now it is visible?
Sir,
Okay, once.
yes, sir, visible.
Okay, visible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, first of all, I would like to introduce the terms, what I would like to discuss. Okay. So, you know what is mathematics, what is analysis, and what is heavy and what is rainfall. Here I would like to tell you why it is rainfall, because rain always falls, it never goes off, so we call rainfall. So, heavy in the terms heavy, you can simply what is heavy rainfall, I will talk just after this slide. So, this is my outline of my presentation. So, first of all, I will discuss what is heavy rainfall, and next I will talk about why do we care this kind of rainfall cases. Why do we care? And then I will discuss what causes this kind of heavy rainfall. And next I will discuss about what are the mathematical techniques to study them. How do we mostly do research to know more about these heavy rainfall cases. So I will discuss these things. And then I will discuss about the return period of such kind of rainfall cases in which
Sir.
expect. Yes?
Sir, now presentation not visible.
Everyone or some? Okay, I can, why? Can you see now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So finally I will discuss about the return periods because we should know when this kind of heavy rainfall cases will return. So I will discuss these things when I will go to the slide. So just now, just remember this. You need to remember, just see what I will like to discuss. So finally I will give a conclusive remark. Okay. So let's start. So what is heavy rainfall? So yes, I already told what is rainfall because rain always falls, so we call rainfall because never rain goes off. So we use rainfall. We don't call it rainfall. Heavy rainfall we use rainfall. We use heavy rainfall. So heavy in the case everyone knows what is heavy. So in mathematical way or scientific way we use extreme because in mathematics you have I don't know whether you might have or not, I am going to have about heavy something in mathematics. But we have obviously have the extreme. Okay? So let's see an example. If you see this graph, you can see this is the rainfall. Can you see the graph? You can see the graph, right? Okay, thank you. Because sometimes it's giving problems, so I am asking you. Okay. So, okay, thank you. So you can see my sound is clear, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. So if you see the x-axis, it is the daily rainfall, and y-axis, it is the everyday rainfall from 1st January to 31st January. So you see the rainfall, if you see the rainfall amount, from 1st to January, it is very low rainfall, it is about how much? It is 3 or 4 millimeter of rainfall. But if you see on 15th or 14th January, it is very heavy rainfall. You see? And also in 31st around 28th January, it is also some kind of heavy rainfall. So we do usually care this kind of rainfall. because these are associated with some kind of flaws or very heavy rainfall like that. So these are, if you see, if you correlate this kind of graph in mathematics, you can say these are extremes, critical points like that. You must have heard and you must have read this thing in calculus. So I will tell you just discuss now. Let's understand with an example what is this kind of extremes, why I call it extremes. Let's discuss with an example. So you suppose I will ask you to find out the extreme points of this function f(x) is equal to 12x minus x cube within this interval. So now you can easily calculate this. The mathematics students can easily find out the extreme points. Just like this is already given in the graph. Like this is extreme points. You can see it will be different extreme points. Different extreme points. So in mathematical you can calculate, if I ask you, so I will take the finality of this function and equal to 0, and you can find, first of all, you can find some critical points. Now what is critical points? You are in mathematics what is critical point. Like I showed you what is extreme in mathematical way to study rainfall. Similarly, critical point, you have had critical point in this equation, but you don't know what is critical point actually. Some chemistry people know what is critical points, but in mathematics also, any problem?
No, sir, no, sir.
Okay. So like also in mathematics also similarly critical points you know whatever in chemistry we use critical points. So to find the critical points we equalize this function to 0 and whatever we get the external we call these the critical points plus minus 2 if I find it plus minus 2. So critical points for simply to understand you know critical point that is this is the if you take a phase diagram. So this is we call critical point. I don't go into much detail of this curve. You know about this curve. So this is called critical point, and this is pressure and liquid temperature. It's simply we call at which temperature this graph will become 0. This y value will become 0. Similar cases in our halos. At which point f(x) becomes 0. Which point f(x) becomes 0? Like there, at which temperature becomes 0? Here similarly, at which point x becomes 0? Anyway, sorry, at which point f(x) becomes 0? So this is called critical points. So now, if I ask you, so you can now find the critical points by putting x values in this function. You can find x and fx. So these are two critical points you can find. So now what are the extreme points? So to the extreme points, to find the extreme points, critical points we found plus minus 2 and also we have 2 elements here. We have taken an interval. So total we have 4 extremes. One is minus 2, minus 16, 2, 16 and if I put minus 3 here and I will find another point 5. And these things the mathematics students know. I think everyone can understand these things. Okay. So I have total 4 different endpoints with this graph. So I have total 4 possible extreme points. So if I plot this one, I will find like this. So here you can understand what is local minimum or global minimum, local maximum, global maximum like that. So here I can enter this is global minimum, this is global maximum, and this is local minimum, this is local maximum. You can see if I consider this is whole globe, I can tell this is the minimum of every considering all the points, so this is global. And if we are taking local, because if I take it is around some region, so I call it local. So this is if I take another example, x is equal to cos phi pi x by divided by x, and get like this. So now I hope everyone understood what is extreme and what is extreme rainfall or heavy rainfall. So this is nothing but if I consider temperature, suppose this is temperature form and this is precipitation. Precipitation, sometimes I may use precipitation because I am habituated with that word. Actually precipitation and rainfall are two equal terms. Please, if I tell something, sometimes if I speak precipitation, please understand that is rainfall. Because I am very much habituated with precipitation, so sometimes I may call precipitation. That is another word of rainfall. Mostly. So this is this kind of rainfall. So and while I'm showing this kind of graphs, you just understand in daily life whatever rainfall we are getting or precipitation or temperature we are getting. So they have every time they have some extremes. We don't care about these things because you just simply imagine every day is raining, no problem, we have no problem. But if someday it rains very heavily in the sense you know your road become flooded. You can't go outside by your car. You can't your water across your house. So these kind of cases we call evident because which are really terrible because when that doesn't happen every time, but once in a year or once in a 5 years, that really damages many things and it is very cost effective and people that's why we care about to protect our future life. Not only life but also property and everything. So we care about this kind of extremes. So whatever function you take, this is you can tell us is a rainfall function or precipitation function. So we care about this things. That's why we call them extreme rainfall events. We mostly call these events because this is an event because all I have to tell every day, this is monthly, I take every day here. So every day means 1 event, 2 event, 3 event, so every day event, occurrence of any event. So it will call cases or events, whatever. Anyway, let's proceed now. So now imagine you cannot tell everything by just taking a 1 month or 1 year data set. You just imagine this is suppose hourly data set. Hourly understand means every day, every hour, whatever rainfall we have. Suppose I plot like this, it will look like this. You cannot do anything if you see this one. You see how hazy this looks. So we pick up this extremes to understand the future pattern of the rainfall to face the future. But we can because now the technology developed so fast, so now the technology is developed so much, we can now tell exactly we can tell in which year this kind of event may occur so that we should prepare as this kind of events. Let's see how. Anyway, now first see how much data we handle to study this kind of events. You just see how much data we handle. If you see, just see how much big data we handle. If you have each our data set, you see it will become this data set at one point. Means at one station. It may be of Solo, may be of Varuna, may be of Balashore, whatever station. It's just imagine of one station and 1 year data, we have this much data. And if I consider 60 years, if I take 60 years past data sets to understand the rainfall pattern, and also for the future, to understand the future pattern, we consider another 60 years. You see, I have studied this period, 1950 to 2010, and also in next 100 years, 2015 to 2110. So total it will become 120 years, which will become this new data set. Then multiply this 1 year, it's 1 year this data set. And now, only one station cannot give you any pattern. We need to analyze data set at different stations. So in Japan, we studies about more than 1400 stations. Over India, it is more than 3000 stations, something like that. So you see how data becomes this data set. Now imagine this data set can you handle by just simple knowledge or something like that? We cannot. That is why we use mostly very super ice computing facilities, which is called supercomputers, to understand this kind of events. So now, whatever this data is saw, this is just every hour data sets. But as I told you, we just consider the extremes. So how will we have all the data sets? How will we consider the extremes? So we mostly take, I will list another point. This is just one case. At 14 stations, this data sets. We cannot, we don't believe single model because one model has some problems because no model are perfect right now. Still now, no model are perfect, no climate model, no weather model, still not perfect. It cannot perfectly tell that this day it will rain or today we have rain. We cannot tell. That's why we use different climate models. So if I consider, we mostly consider more than 100 models. So I consider only 30 models. So if I consider, you see how big this data set. Anyway, so from these data sets, we always consider either we take the maximum rainfall over a year. Suppose this is a whole year data set. I will take this, just this, which is maximum, maybe this one or this one. I will take just this one. I will forget about other values. Because if I consider this one, if I prepare something, I will be prepared to face this event. I can face this event, no problem for me. But if I will prepare for this event, I will build a house to face this event. If this event will come, my house may be broken. Because this event has no meaning. You see, there is very little rainfall. But we need to face this event. So we consider mostly annual maximum, or we have considered total all rainfall events. I will take top 1% events. I will just distribute it in descending order or ascending order. I will take top 1% events. Whatever event will come, I will prepare for that event. Or some people take some top 5% events, some people take top 10% events. It depends on the number of sample points. If you have very less number of samples, we will take top 10%. If we have very large number of samples, we can take just 1% events. Okay, so now the question is, why do we care them? I already told you many times why do we care them. You might have understood. Still, I am repeating. You just see, I will show you a video. If you can't hear this video, please tell me. I will volume. See. Can you hear?
No, sir.
Hello? Yes, sir.
Can you
Sir,
hear? Okay, thank you. Okay, this is what Balasur, I think I forgot what to tell anyway. So if I show you another one, you see?
Yes, sir.
So all these things what I showed you, this is just normal. There are many big events that takes human life and takes houses, and you know all these things. So that's why we care this kind of events for proper infrastructure and city planning, for to get prepared to face our future. If similar kind of events will occur, we know this kind of rainfall will come. This year also there are also so many this kind of events in Maharashtra, and so we care. That's why we care to get prepared to face our future. It depends on the government how they care and how they don't care. But as I work in Japan, we always care this kind of events to give the proper information to the government so that they will prepare to save their people's lives, their people's properties. Here we can sometimes when a flood will come, many damages occur, and we rebuild it. Why don't we build it before, not to destroy? Why don't we, just simple example, after a damage, we will give some money to a people. Why don't we pay that money before damaging that one? That's why I am not talking anything political, just I am telling what I am doing there in Japan because I am working in Japan.
थोड़ा सा बूस्ट आ जाता है.
That is different matter, I don't want to discuss. So, in Japan, they always care about peoples before they marry. That's why they always think about the future, not what will happen after happening. But in Japan, we also we are doing good things. See? That we know that the cyclone is coming. We are preparing very well. Don't tell like that. Don't blame governments at all. This is not only the government's fault, everyone's fault I can tell. So, in anyway, so I am not going to politics part. So you just think what why do you care there? We must care.
India and not.
Yeah, because we are not well prepared. That's the thing. Because India is a very big country, it is also not very easy to handle everything. Anyway, that is government part. Our part is we will inform the people, we will inform the government, we will inform the policymakers. This will may happen. You do what you want. This is not our duty, whether they can do or not. Anyway, so what we inform, we mostly inform the government or the policymakers in Japan that similar events must return someday. Because you know the 99 cyclone occurred in 99. Similar events occur also, you know, Hudhud, Phailu and some others. Similar events, but why do we have a lot of damage? Do you know why do we have a lot of damage in recent cyclone? Because we are not prepared. At that time, we had our system was not so developed. Anyway, so we are also developing, not only Japan is developing, so they will be more developed. That is different issue. So now I will discuss how do we analyze this kind of events and how do we tell this kind of events may occur in some day so that we should be prepared to face this kind of events in future. Okay. So before doing that, I would like to. I think the time is okay. Time is there. How much time I have? How much time I have, madam?
Yes, sir.
Another 15 minutes?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 15 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Then I will just I'll tell, I will not explain much. So before understanding, before going to discuss how do we analyze those kind of events, I would like to discuss, you should understand what causes this kind of events. You might be thinking it is because of people. No, we don't do anything. It is this kind of events, cyclone or heavy rainfalls or earthquakes. We don't have any control on it. We can't do anything. Even if you will change your mind, you will see everything, you will become calm and quiet. This kind of events will not stop. This kind of events will occur every time. We can only do, we can prepare ourselves to face this kind of event. So if you are interested why this kind of events occur, just this next two slides are for you. So to understand it, there is no single factor can perfectly tell you this will cause heavy rainfall. But some kind of atmospheric conditions which are mostly atmospheric stability, because sometimes atmosphere become unstable. Unstable, I think the simple word you can tell. Suppose I will make a curve just like this, and we put a ball in the top. In which side it will fall? Because it is unstable. You can understand it. It's unstable. It cannot decide this side or this side. It will fall some side, but it can't decide which side I will fall. It will depend on the wind flow. If I will blow very high wind this side, it will fall this side. If I blow very high wind this side, it will fall this side. So it is unstable system. If I make like this, just you, and I put the ball in that in bottom, then it is stable. It will not go anywhere. So atmospheric stability and also large scale occurrence. This kind of words you will not understand, and I will discuss moisture content. Moisture is not nothing more, just think it is the moist air. Moisture means the water vapor content in the atmosphere. Because whatever rainfall are getting, that is nothing but the water vapours. These water vapours get together, become drops and big drops, we get rainfalls. So that is the moisture which is the water vapor content in the atmosphere. These things mostly cause the rainfall. So mostly responsible variables among all these factors are temperature, pressure and moisture. You understand temperature, you know pressure, and you know also I told you what is moisture. This is just to understand the water vapor content in the atmosphere. You take some atmosphere, you take some air, whatever water vapor inside, you call moisture. So always we need moisture. Without moisture, we will not get rainfall because water vapor we need. Otherwise, no rainfall. So either temperature and pressure are related, or pressure moisture, or temperature moisture. So if I take it looks like this. So either temperature, pressure, moisture, all three together are responsible, or temperature, moisture both responsible, or temperature, moisture responsible. So if I do one by one, you can see easily. I will just move it very quickly because we have less time. You see one by one I will do. So this is simply you can understand our simple laws, the gas laws we have read in just in plus 2 read. So we know I will repeat these things. We know what is Boyle's law, we know Charles' law, and we know what is gas physics law. So if I consider this Charles' law, you just think the volume and temperature are directly proportional. So now imagine if a temperature will increase, then volume will increase because according to Charles' law. So now you just think if temperature will increase, then the volume will increase means what? The air will expand. So if air will expand, so as I told you according to Boyle's law, so air will expand, it means volume will increase. So according to Boyle's law, if volume will increase, then pressure will decrease. This thing is very clear now. I think it is clear to everyone. So now you just think these two things. So it means if temperature will increase, then pressure will decrease. If temperature will increase, air will expand. If air will expand, then volume will increase. If volume will increase, then pressure will decrease. It means pressure becomes low. So you understand now, if temperature will increase, then pressure becomes low. So if pressure becomes low, what will happen? Now you see. Now we come to this point. So here, if everyone knows it is always called low pressure, which we call in India low pressure. Because of low pressure, it is getting very heavy rainfall. We are getting rainfalls 5 days, 6 days, whatever. Sometimes low pressure get very heavy rainfalls. And how it gets heavy rainfalls? So if you are interested, you can see this video. And okay. I think some problem. Anyway, I will explain. So this air means high pressure, this air means low pressure. Okay. So when high pressure occurs, it means the clouds, whatever moistures are available in the atmosphere, comes down. If they come down, you get clear weather. But in case of low pressure, the moistures, whatever is in ground floor, it moves up. If it moves up, you can understand this temperature will decrease. In upper atmosphere, we have very low temperature, so it becomes condensed and you get rainfalls. So this is a very simple thing, you know, in school we have read all these things. So I don't want to discuss much. So this is one phenomenon we get sometimes if we have it is humid or very heavy, very large amount of water vapor in our surroundings, and temperature will increase. At that place, temperature will increase, as I told you before, temperature will increase, then low pressure will create. When low pressure will create, all the moisture will go up and it will condense and you will get heavy rainfalls. So it depends in any place. You know the Kalbaisaki, that is in April we get heavy rainfalls in every afternoon. Because in the morning time, due to high temperature, the area becomes, there creates low pressure, and you get. So another region will have temperature moisture. To understand these things, you need to understand what is causes relationship. So in physics, we have read this relationship. So this relationship said the atmosphere can hold more water vapor if temperature is increased. So if temperature, how much quantity it is about 7% for degree rising temperature. If it is just 1 degree, then 7% atmosphere, 7% water vapor may increase in the atmosphere. So if you get more atmosphere, if you get more water vapor in the atmosphere, then you may expect more rainfalls. So this is another reason. And this part also I am working in Japan. The previous part also I have published in many papers on this work. Also I work with this similar work in India also. So to understand these things, we need to understand phase diagram. You know everyone what is phase diagram. And this is you know the phase diagram. Everyone knows what is the phase diagram. If you see water, yes. I don't want to discuss the phase diagram with everyone. The most part you just imagine, you know. So if you change, if you cross this line from one phase to another phase, if you on this line phase doesn't change. If I change this, if I cross this line, then the phase changes, liquid to gas or solid to liquid like that. So what Clausius what says? Now it is said like this. Suppose I have taken 2 points. I have to move from A to B, and whatever the rate of change of, if this is pressure and this is temperature phase diagram, you know. So rate of change of this pressure, rate of change of this pressure with respect to this temperature is called the Clausius relationship. So this is the equation. So I don't want to discuss this thing. Okay. So using this thing, you can see this is take temperature and precipitation, these 2 quantities. We can tell easily this is similar. I don't discuss. Now I don't want to discuss this one. Anyway, so if I have temperature and precipitation, we just at any place I have temperature values, then I have dynamic temperature and then precipitation, and I will just consider I consider only the extreme cases. So you see here I will consider starting from, we consider all kind of mostly 10 millimeter from all the rainfalls. So whatever value is 10 millimeter I will the precipitation increase with temperature. You see, if temperature increase, precipitation will increase. Over Japan also, if temperature will increase, precipitation will increase. This is x temperature, y is precipitation. So this is my work. I will skip now. Okay. So now I understood temperature and moisture. Because the moisture is water vapor, what I do, what I showed you, temperature, x-axis, and water vapor and y-axis. I showed you how they create rainfall. Another could be pressure and moisture. This we can understand by like this. We know always, somewhere it is, I will take another 5 minutes, not much. We know our everywhere pressure is not similar, not same. Somewhere it is, I don't know whether you know the general pressure values. Somewhere it is 100 atmospheric pressure, or somewhere, sorry, not 100, it's very mistake. Somewhere it is 1000, somewhere it is 990, somewhere it is 1024, like that. But our Earth always constantly tries to its best to equal the pressure. Like in a pond, if you see water level is always same over a pond. Exactly similar thing occur in our atmosphere. Atmosphere always tries to make a level in pressures, but unfortunately it cannot do never. It cannot be successful, but it always tries. That is the most factor creating this kind of. So when the moisture, the water vapor, because of this pressure difference, if suppose you have a low pressure, there is a high pressure, so you know the air will blow from high pressure to low pressure. So whatever water vapor is here will travel to this place. So when it travels, sometimes we observe there are some kind of rivers in atmosphere. Like land we have rivers, we have also rivers in atmosphere. How it looks, just see this one. You cannot understand. Atmospheric rivers. River doesn't occur in land only, it also occurs in atmosphere. You see how it is. You can see this one. River doesn't just exist on land, it also exists in sky. And this can't be visible in naked eye. We can see it in satellite microwaves. We can see these things, radio waves. So the moisture goes, and when it hits on land, it becomes rain. And if you see, there is in history, in 1962, it caused continuously 43 days rainfall. And now this is, we call, and this rainfall, continuously 43 days, it creates the rainfall over a city in Venice. I don't know whether you heard about the Venice. It is in Italy. The city is now, if you visit in future, if you already visited, you know, this city is now situated in over the water. This city is completely over water. If you see, if you visit sometime, I already visited. If you visit sometime, you can see this city. If you go to your house, you have to take the boat. You cannot go by walk. You have to take the boat to go to your house. Completely over the water. Okay, so this is the atmospheric river, and you can see another thing how the you can see this video to understand the whole situation of our water vapor distribution through wind. You see how it moves everywhere. So always Earth tries its best to maintain its level, but it can't. So you now understood now atmospheric river, how these atmospheric creates. I told you the pressure always goes from high pressure to low pressure. When the wind blows from high pressure to low pressure, and it takes the moisture from high pressure to low pressure areas and it creates some kind of rivers. So to understand these things, I worked over Japan. How much this kind of events, how many this kind of events, this kind of rivers form over Japan region. So there are some mathematical techniques I used. I used the transportation technique, how to understand these things. So I don't want to go into details. If I show you the results, you can see there is a big event over Japan, and there is a river. You see, there is a river during this event. Not every time. After 2 days, this river vanishes because the atmosphere a river cannot hold. You know, in land, water can stay in the river, but in atmosphere, water cannot hold, or every time the moisture will not be there. So it occurs after 2 days, it vanishes. Similarly, you can see another event. Different events are there. So mostly I found some kind of big events. These are, if I consider these big events, over some events this kind of river occurs. Okay, this is another part. So now I will just take in 2 minutes. So what are the mathematical techniques? there are a number of techniques we use to analyze the rainfall data sets, and they are mostly probability methods. So, and maybe you can tell normal distribution, Gumbel distribution, long normal distributions. In my case, I always use Gumbel distribution and to mostly find out the frequency of how frequent this kind of rainfall will occur over Japan. I have not worked over India this kind of study. So, how frequent this kind of events occur over Japan, and how about the return periods. So, how do we do it? As I told you, I use Gumbel distribution. If you have read in Power and statistics, you must have seen this kind of we call cumulative distribution functions. You might have seen this kind of equation. So here, if you see this is equation in Gumbel distribution, you can see this is x different. This is a probability function, and this is what is x is the maximas. That is, I told you, I took the top events, so this kind of maximas, and in the maxima also in your functions you can find out maximas. This is this maximas, and this mu and alpha are location parameters, scale parameters, and the mu is this mu. We found mostly this mu by taking the mean, all the x, all the precipitation values, we can find the mean, and with this equation and alpha, we have this equation. So finally, we find out the return period with this formula. We can find out P here, and we can find out T. So if you see some examples, and this is frequency, how frequent this kind of event will occur. As I told you, I use mostly, always we analyze more than 100 model data sets. So for present climate, I used here 50 models, and for future climate, I used 90 models with I have considered if temperature will increase 4 degree. Sometimes we will take 2 degree, 4 degree, whatever it is for you, but depends on your study, your focus. So it looks like this. You see, present is the blue one, and future is the red one, the pink one. And this the small, the thin lines are different models, and the deep line are the dark line are for taking the mean of all the models. If you see this figure, you can see this is over different rivers. This is Tone River, Yodo River, Kyushu River over Japan. This big rivers are there. So if you see in future climate, you can see in present climate we have. I can explain just one, and you can understand others like this. In present climate, I can see this is highest. If you see. It means this kind of rainfall. This is total precipitation amount, which is about 200 millimeter rainfall. You see, this is 200 millimeter rainfall, about 200 millimeter rainfall. So 200 millimeter rainfall occurs mostly in present climate. But in future climate, and also we have in present climate, you see, we have also 200 millimeter, but very less. But in future climate, you see, more than 300 millimeter rainfalls are increased. So this kind of rainfalls may increase in the future. So we should prepare for this kind of rainfalls. And if you see, this is the return period. This is called frequency. Return periods. When they may return. If you see, this is 1 year, 10 year, 100 year, 1000 years. As I have taken the next, I have already told you I am working on next 100 years, so I can tell you what will happen over until 100 years. So you see, this is blue one is present climate, and this pink one is future climate. If you see this, suppose I will take this event. This is about consider 200 millimeter. In 200 millimeter, if you see, if you see the present climate within 10 years, we can find whatever precipitation event we will get, but within 10 years, 200 millimeter rainfall we will get very early. You can see we get very early. It means maybe within 5 years we may get another event with 200 millimeter rainfall. If you see 400 millimeter rainfall, it comes here, but in the case of 400, in future climate it is just in 10 Just next 10 years we may get a rainfall with 400 millimeter, but in present climate, which is within 100 years we are getting a rainfall. So you imagine, whatever big events we are facing in present climate, but in future climate that will become very frequent. For example, I will tell you the cyclone. 99 cyclone came to 20 years before, but in last 5 years we are getting 3-4 cyclones, similar kind of cyclones. You just compare this analysis. So now we are very much curious about to get very extreme cases like heavy rainfalls, number of cyclones, big cyclones. We will get more frequently. So these things are mostly our research on focus on that. In Japan we call typhoons. I am working on typhoons also. So to understand how frequent these typhoons will occur and how intense these typhoons will be in future climate, and how much they will be devastating, how they will damage. So all these things, our main focus is to inform the Japanese government and the policymakers to build their infrastructures or dams or whatever to protect the human life and the human properties. So this is what we do, and I want to highlight just one more point. You see, this is observation, this black one is observation, and present climate is this blue one. If you see, there is not similar. Model is giving very different results, but in this case, both the same. Model is giving similar pattern, but here model is not giving similar pattern. So in this case, we first correct the data set before telling the what will happen in future. So we use some correction error methods, correction of errors, and if you see, if you correct it, you can see now it is whatever we showed you before. If I correct it, it will look like this. Now I corrected with some method, with some adjust method. I corrected it. Now you see how it looks. Now how it looks. So this is our research. So this is what my study and also some general fundamental things about rainfall events I discussed with everyone. I hope everyone understood some point or everything. I'm very happy that everyone listened, and I hope I could able to make you understand something about my research as well as some general ideas about heavy rainfalls. So finally, I would like to summarize what we learned today. We understood the basics of heavy rainfall. We discussed the importance of studying this kind of heavy rainfall cases. We explored why this kind of events occur, and also we demonstrated some mathematical techniques how we study them, and we also investigated their return periods. Whatever possible, I just explained. This is all from my side, and I would like to thank you everyone for being here and for listening to my presentation. And if you have any questions or doubts or anything, you can please feel free to ask me. And thank you once again, principal and the HOD of the Department of Mathematics and principal of this college for inviting me for this to make this presentation. Thank you everyone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Sir, beautifully you expressed your presentation. And you beautifully highlight the many points that is cause of heavy rainfall or Charles law, and where does the rainfall at low pressure, mathematical techniques to analyze the rainfall in frequency distribution, etc. And I think your presentation is very informative to all of us and very beautiful and helpful to all the participants. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, should I stop the sharing presentation or should I stop it?
Yes, sir.
Or any questions? Okay.
Question session, sir. Totally. ଆପଣ?
Okay, thank you very much. I understood. Okay.
Yes, sir. Now this is time to listen our next keynote speaker, Dr. Meenati Mishra Madam. Madam has proved her excellency in teaching and research. She has guided many scholars for MPhil and PhD degrees and published valuable articles in international journals. She has worked as a resource fellow in flight safety group of integrated test range and Chandipur DRDO establishment, and she is expert in various subjects like network security, cryptography, logical organization, architecture of computer system and operating system, etc. And she is also an active member of Cryptology Research Society of India and Odisha Information. Now I request to Meenati Madam to deliver her speech. Welcome Madam to this webinar. Ma'am, please.
Okay, good afternoon. Thank you, madam. Am I audible?
Yes, Madam. Audible.
Okay, thank you, madam. Thank you for this nice introduction. And esteemed principal, Jayanti madam, esteemed convener of this webinar, Sasmita Ray madam, and co-convener Gopinath sir, and the honorable speaker, my previous speaker, Sridhar Naik sir, and all the organizing committee members and the participants, learned participants. Actually, I am from Computer Science Department, and my topic is actually my today's topic is not related to my research area also. So unlike my previous speakers, Sridhar Naik sir, I am not going to share any research with you people, but because the audience is also constitute our students, so I will be giving some very simplified topic. I will be discussing means from the students' perspective, what is cryptography. So I think actually I have got some problem in my presentation. So let me once again try. There is some problem. Actually, I am unable to share the presentation. My screen actually it is I am unable to share. Yeah. Is it visible now? Whether my screen is visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So my topic is actually a very simple topic, and it is actually introduction to cryptography. Why we need cryptography and what is cryptography? I will be just telling that from the student's perspective, of course. I am not going to discuss any research here. So coming to the outline of my discussion, I will be actually defining cryptography and what are the principles of cryptography or goals of cryptography, then few terminologies to understand cryptography, and how we classify cryptography, what are the types of cryptography, and under that actually we will be discussing two primary categories, that is the symmetric key cryptography and asymmetric key cryptography, and that's it actually. I will be discussing these few things, and to start with, I will start with defining cryptography. Cryptography is a very old field. We can date back it to actually ancient times also. if I say from Indian perspective, if we'll see, then cryptography was there even during the Mahabharata time, during the Ramayana time, and we have seen cryptography content in Chanakya's Arthashastra. We have seen that in many means literatures. Recently, actually, we had conducted also. We tried to conduct a study to find out the history of cryptography in ancient Indian literature. But that being a very vast topic, and that required actually a lot of knowledge on various languages. You should actually be able to read, write various literature. Those are written in various different languages. So it was actually a very vast topic. So we couldn't finish, but we got traces of cryptography with our scriptures like Mahabharata, Ramayana, and also Arthashastra, and even we are proud that our means Fakir Mohan Senapati, the father of Oriental literature, he also has used cryptography. So cryptography, this term was derived from two Greek words, cryptos and graphene. Cryptos is hidden or secret, graphene is writing. So cryptography is about secret writing. And according to Oxford Dictionary, the cryptography, the term is defined as the art of writing or solving codes. So until exactly 20th century, cryptography was considered to be an art, and it was generally concerned with constructing good codes and breaking existing codes. And actually cryptography was solely dependent upon the creativity of a person or the personal skill of a particular person. There was rarely any theory available to explain cryptography. And as I have told you, actually our father of literature, Fakir Mohan Senapati, he has also used cryptography when he was under the captivity of that Sardar, Prajamali Sardar. So to rescue him from that prison, he has actually written a particular letter, and I think here actually everybody they can read Oriya. So it goes something like this: Bholanatha Kamarya Janibo, महारानी का पुत्र धरणीधर का सकाशे नितांत दरकार अति शीघ्र शहे पान 200 गुआ पठेबु पश्चिम महारागरी आखुबड़ी को शीघ्र पानी बहाबु नहले आखुबड़ी विनाश जीव जानिबु. So here actually before this particular letter has been sent, the Sardar, he has also gone through this one, and he became happy that perhaps Fakir Mohan, he is actually asking someone to send him some betel nuts and something for him. But when it reached, Madhusudan Das, when he got this letter, he could actually decipher. This was actually a cryptic letter, and he could decipher, and he sent people to actually fight against those actually Sardars, and they rescued Fakir Mohan Senapati. So we have also in our Oriya literature, we have also traces of cryptography, and there are actually many other examples. So I am not citing all these with this seminar, just to say that cryptography is not at all a new topic. We can actually get back its origin to very ancient times. Just I have given this particular example. So till actually 20th century, the cryptography was considered to be an art without actually having any scientific theory to describe the cryptographic methods. So people, those who were really skilled, those who were intelligent, they only were using cryptography, and cryptography was used in military. Majorly, it was actually used in military for secret communication. But after 20th century or towards late 20th century, this concept has changed and actually rich theory has emerged. And now actually cryptography is no more about secret sharing. It actually covers so many things like message authentication. I will be explaining all these things again little bit. What is message authentication? That means let's suppose some information we have received or some message we have received from somebody. Whether that is actually sent by the sender or it has been fabricated by somebody. That is actually message. Says whether it has been modified before reaching us or not. To ensure that one, actually we need message authentication. For example, let's suppose I'll request my bank to transfer, let's suppose 1000 rupees to X account. Somebody X to their accounts. And in between, let's suppose there will be some hacker who will change the value, will add 2 more zeros, and if the message will be reached the destination, that means bank, and bank will transfer 1 lakh rupee from my account to some X account, then what will happen? I will actually be a great loser. So before actually the message has been actually executed, means before that instruction has been processed by the bank, bank should actually know that whether I have given that request and whether that request is the original request or not, whether somebody has changed it or not. So for that actually we need this message authentication schemes, and these are actually highly used in many sectors nowadays, like your, let's suppose, email. There also in it that mail should not change. I have sent a mail and if something else will reach the receiver, then actually I will not be able to convey what I want to convey. So many ways actually we use these authentication things. Then we have digital signatures. We have actually protocols for exchanging secret keys also. Why secret keys will be required and what is actually why you need to actually exchange them secretly, that also I will discuss shortly. Then authentication protocols, here also we need actually to authenticate parties, those are communicating. If X is communicating with Y, then Y should know that yes, X is the genuine X. Similarly, X should know that Y is genuine Y. Otherwise, what will happen? Somebody can impersonate as X or Y, and in that case, what will happen? Our communication, whatever we want to communicate, that will be actually lead to some other party. So the confidentiality of the communication will no more be maintained. So for that actually we need these authentication protocols. And also digital keys. Nowadays actually we are actually very much dependent upon these things, actually digital keys. So all this can be possible because of cryptography. So cryptography no more is just an art of secret writing, but it is actually a science. So we can actually define the modern cryptography as a scientific study of techniques for securing digital information, transactions and distributed computations. And historically, the major consumers of cryptography were military and intelligence organizations, as I have told you. But today, everybody, they are actually making use of cryptography. So we have many users for the cryptography. And users here actually they even don't know. We actually whenever we are making use of any internet to communicate with anybody, whenever we are actually browsing any website, when we are sending some mail, when we are actually sending some WhatsApp message, every time actually we are making use of cryptography. Some types of encryption and decryption, whether we know it or we don't know, everybody, whoever is in internet now, whoever is using a device like computer or a mobile phone or something, they are also making use of cryptography. So it has actually means become a science in science, or let's suppose it is also technology instead of an art anymore. Okay. So cryptographic methods nowadays are used to enforce access control in multi-user operating systems. Whenever actually in multi-user operating systems, one person want to join. The way actually here in this particular meeting, many people they are actually joining. They are sending one request and then after they are getting access. So that is actually access control. So this access control, how actually we will know that somebody is a genuine person or authorized person to get into this particular meeting. Here actually what we are doing, you are actually asking them to register first, and if somebody has registered, then only we are allowing them. So that is one type of access control. And in computer system, what we are doing, we are actually making use of let's suppose password, or let's suppose we are actually using some making use of some tokens, or let's suppose making use of some other fingerprint, etc., biometric information. We actually provide access control. And cryptography also can be used to prevent thieves from extracting secret from stolen. Let's suppose your device has been stolen. So devices nowadays contains lot of digital information, and if that is stolen, then adversaries they can actually extract lot of information from the device. So to protect the information, everything has been actually kept in a encrypted format. So if somebody gets hold of my device, still they will not be able to extract anything out of my device, because my device is already encrypted. Okay. Then software protection methods also, they employ encryption for actually copyright protection, or preventing unauthorized parties is from copying the valuable softwares, or let's suppose movies, etc. Also they use these cryptographic techniques to prevent copying the content, means authorized content. So I can now then summarize that cryptography has gone from an art form. So initially it was defined as an art. That means actually it was dependent upon skill of a particular person, and very few persons were only gifted with that skill to make use of cryptography. But now it is actually no more an art, it is actually science, or it is a technology that actually deals with securing systems for ordinary people across the globe. So everybody now they are actually using cryptography either knowingly or unknowingly. So in computer science, we popularly actually define the goal of cryptography is to achieve pain. This pain is actually, though the spelling is synonymous with that body pain something, it has got nothing to do with that type of pain. Here the principle of cryptography is to achieve P for privacy, A for authentication, I for integrity and non-repudiation, and also access control and availability. These two things are also ensured through cryptography. So what is privacy or the confidentiality? Privacy or confidentiality means actually the sender and only the intended sender or the receiver, they should be able to read and understand the message. Nobody other than the intended receiver should be able to read and understand the message. That is actually privacy. If actually I am communicating something privately with somebody else, then a third party, unauthorized person should not be able to hear or should not be able to understand what I am communicating privately. That is actually privacy. And actually in every communication, privacy or confidentiality is very important. And here actually some of the attack scenario for privacy are actually interception, traffic analysis, release of message content. Whatever I am trying to communicate with somebody privately, if that is actually that will be means hacked by some adversary, and if that will be released or that will be made public, then my means privacy will be lost, means privacy of communication will be lost. So to handle this one, we have actually various encryption techniques. So before transmitting data, now what we do? We actually encrypt it and we transmit, so that if somebody else, an adversary or an eavesdropper, gets hold of the channel and will be able to listen to the medium or will be able to read the data, still that data is now in an unintelligible format, so they will not be able to make anything out of it. They only will be getting some data, and that will be garbage for them. They will not be able to make any meaningful information out of that. That is actually privacy. So privacy during communication through some open or non-secure channel, if we want to make our communication private or we want to maintain confidentiality, we can depend upon cryptography and we can make use of encryption. Similarly, authentication. What is authentication? Authentication ensures that the origin of a particular message is correctly identified. So, if actually the message, I have actually created a particular message, then actually means I am communicating with somebody else, then these two parties are genuine parties or authentic parties. That has to be ensured, and that is actually authentication. And there are actually attack scenario against authentication, like your fabrication, impersonation, masquerade, and replay attack, etc. And by making use of, as just before sometimes I told, password, biometric information, token, digital signature, timestamp, sequence number, etc., we can actually ensure authentication, access control, etc. And availability, what is it? The information system should be available to the authorized parties. It should always be available to the authorized party. If I am authorized to have access into a particular information system, then that information system should remain available to me all the time. And many times actually there are many attack scenarios, like your DOS attack, that is distributed, that is actually denial of service attack. And actually the denial of service attack in its larger form, that is distributed denial of service attack, DDoS attack. There actually what happens, adversaries, they actually flood lot of useless information into the system and they actually jam the total system. So authorized parties, they will not get an access to the system itself. So to handle this type of things, we have also firewalls. We make use of firewalls that actually keep unwanted traffic away from our system and make the resources available to authorized parties. And cryptography also ensures integrity. Integrity is about the message. Once it has been created and sent by a particular sender, it should not change in between. It should be received by the receiver as it was sent. So if there is no change, how it was originated, exactly if in that same format it will reach the destination, then the integrity of the message is maintained. If it has changed in between by some unauthorized party, then we will say that the integrity of the message is lost. So attack scenario for integrity is actually unauthorized modification. Just as I explained before sometimes, that let's suppose I will actually request my bank to transfer 1000 rupee from my account to some X account, and in between let's suppose somebody fraudulently will change the value to 1 lakh. Then what will happen? Bank will transfer 1 lakh rupee from my account to some X account. So there actually integrity of the message was not maintained or preserved, so this type of disaster happened. So to actually handle this type of scenario, we can make use of digital signature and cryptographic hashing techniques. There are actually many techniques available to us, And we are actually making use of all these things also in our day-to-day life without knowing that all these things are in place. Whenever actually we are making use of any banking transaction, whenever we are sending one email, whenever we are sending some message, actually everywhere some cryptographic algorithms are there in place to ensure secure and safe delivery of our messages. Then comes another important principle, that is non-repudiation. What is repudiation? Repudiation means refusing something. I have actually sent a particular mail or a request, and later on I'll no, this I have not done. That is actually repudiation. So if a party responsibility of their messages or their communication, then non-repudiation will occur. And actually total information system or communication system will fail. So to ensure non-repudiation, that means once I have communicated something, I should actually take the responsibility of that one. Yes, I have communicated. If later on I will say that no, I have not done this one, then there should be some mechanism in place to prove that yes, I had done that one. Okay, so that is non-repudiation, and non-repudiation can be ensured through cryptographic techniques like your secure envelope and digital signature, etc. And of course, there are attack scenario for non-repudiation, that is a man-in-middle attack. So if some adversary is sitting in between, and if he can actually get access into the channel, and if they can change the data, or they will be generating some message on behalf of me, then what will happen? Of course, I have not requested or I have not sent that particular mail. Somebody else has hacked my site, my email account, and has sent a mail. So in that case, actually, what will happen? The cryptographic algorithms, they are there to prevent my system from such type of attacks also. So this is actually goal of cryptography. That means actually why one should read cryptography, what are the importances of cryptography. Then actually I will be discussing few terminologies to understand cryptography. So in cryptography, what will happen? There will be some plain text. That is actually the message written in plain language, like English language, Odia language, something. And that is actually the plain text. We will turn that as plain text. And when we will encode it, or when we will encrypt it to some unintelligible format, ununderstandable format, that is actually the ciphertext. And the technique itself is the cipher. Cipher is actually enciphering, or ciphering is the technique through which actually a plain text will be converted to ciphertext. And for that, most of the time we will be making use of some key. So there are actually certain values, those will be secretly or publicly will be used by the transmitter and receiver to code the message. That is actually key. And there are actually techniques like encryption and decryption, or encipher and decipher. Encryption is changing the plain text to ciphertext, and decryption is getting back the original plain text from the ciphertext. And as we have already discussed, cryptography is studying the principles of encryption and decryption. Okay, and cryptanalysis, of course, is another branch where what we will do, we will try to decipher the ciphertext without knowing the key. That means actually a hacking type of thing, or actually code breaking. Then actually cryptanalysis, through that what we will do, we will actually try to break the code without knowing the key, without making use of the proper methods. So why this cryptanalysis is required? To actually ensure the strength of the cryptographic algorithm. And we have actually cryptology, where actually we will be combining this cryptography and cryptanalysis. Combining with this, actually the way actually we have zoology, so studying the living beings. Similar way, cryptology, that to study cryptographic algorithms and cryptanalysis. Okay, so these are some terminologies. And here actually I have actually given what are actually various types of what are various methods available to create ciphertext. So we can have substitution methods, we can have transposition methods. Substitution means, let's suppose a particular character will be, or a symbol will be replaced by some other symbol. Okay. For example, in our competitive exams, you will be getting many a time, if a cat is something XYZ, then what will be, let's suppose dog or something. So that means actually if A is replaced by X and B is replaced by Y, C is replaced by Z, then F will be replaced by what? Okay, substitution means the symbols are replaced with some other symbol. Substituted. So transposition ciphers, you can create actually unintelligible or ciphertext by transposing. That means permuting the characters. The way actually, let's suppose cat can be written as ATC. Okay, so cat means actually you can imagine that it is, I am talking about some animal, pet animal, and if I say ATC, you will be clueless what I am talking about. So actually it became unintelligible. So transposition technique. Transposition is what? You are just permuting the characters or the symbols. And there are actually various ways to perform this substitution cipher and transposition cipher. We will not be discussing all of them here. I'll be just giving little bit of hint. Then cryptography also can be private key cryptography or symmetric key cryptography or public key cryptography. In case of private key cryptography, what will happen, or symmetric key cryptography, the same key will be used for encryption as well as decryption. The way actually the lock we are using in our home also. Let's suppose to lock our home and to open it. So the same key is actually used to lock the door as well as to unlock it. So that is a kind of, let's suppose, single key cryptography or the symmetric key cryptography or private key cryptography. The key using which you have encrypted, if you will be able to decrypt using the same key. And what is public key cryptography? Public key cryptography or asymmetric key cryptography, here what will happen, at least two keys are there. It is actually not necessarily only two keys, at least two keys has to be there. One is to lock and another one is to unlock. Means the key using which you will lock, you will not be able to unlock using the same key. There are two different keys. And depending upon how actually the plaintext is processed, you have actually various types of ciphers like block cipher and stream ciphers. So all these are actually, I am not going to discuss all these things, just to let you know what is actually, what are various methods available to us and to what is it I have given you. So I can briefly discuss these two techniques, important techniques. Cryptography is broadly divided into two different categories. One is your symmetric key or private key cryptography, and another one is asymmetric key or public key cryptography. So what is a symmetric key cryptography? As I have told you, here you have a single key to encrypt as well as decrypt. So what will happen? You have to make use of some key generation program and you will generate a key. And using that same key, here actually I am taking two persons, let's suppose Alice and Bob, they are trying to communicate with each other privately or confidentially. So what they can do, the plain text message, they can actually, Alice, the plain text message, he can encrypt using a particular key that has been generated using this key generation algorithm, and it has to be transmitted through some transmission media, and upon receiving the encrypted text, see here actually there was some intelligible, there is some actually text, plain text that has been actually changed to some unintelligible format after encryption, and that will be transmitted, and at the receiving end it will be decrypted using the same key. So single key is used, means it is a symmetric key cryptography or private key cryptography. So here mathematically we will try to define this And then a private key encryption scheme or cipher is comprised of three algorithms. One is the key generation algorithm. Let's suppose we'll term this as a gen, and that will actually generate a key for us. Okay, it will generate a key, and then we will make use of two different algorithms. ENC, that is the encryption algorithm, DEC is the decryption algorithm. And the encryption algorithm, what it will do, it will take a plain text message M and the key and will produce the ciphertext. So M is plain text, it is actually intelligible text, and after encryption through this particular key, we have actually produced a ciphertext which is unintelligible, that means ununderstandable format. Okay, and decryption. Who will perform this one? The transmitter. So when actually you transmit something, let's suppose in email, through let's suppose WhatsApp. Whenever actually we are transmitting some message, what happens actually our message M is encrypted. Making means using some key and a ciphertext is generated, and this ciphertext actually is transmitted. So in between, if somebody other than the intended recipient will get hold of our message, they will not be able to understand what is sent. That means M is no more in transmission, C is in transmission. So it actually maintains the privacy of the message or confidentiality of the message. And at the receiving end, what happens? Receiver receives this C, and receiver knows the key K. So we run actually the decryption algorithm, and the decryption algorithm will be actually DEC using the keys and the cryptographic message C. C will be actually decrypted to give M. So when we will get the plain text back at the receiver end. So this is actually the private key, principle of private key cryptography, how it occurs. And you can say that for a given key and some algorithm, means let's suppose encryption and decryption algorithm, actually this particular thing should be true. That means if I have encrypted message M using a key K, and if I have decrypted it using the same key successfully, then I should get back the original message. So this happens actually when we communicate with any party confidentially or means let's suppose keeping our privacy intact. Okay. Then here there are actually many popular symmetric key encryption algorithms available to us. The most popular was actually DES. We are using actually for many decades. DES was in use, data encryption standard, but it was actually a 56-bit key algorithm. So because of its small key space, that became obsolete, and now actually we are making use of triple DES. That means actually 3 different keys. Of 56 and 56 bit we are making use of, and still that triple DES is in use. And we are having also AES algorithm. IDEA is actually used as PGP also, that is pretty good privacy. I think many of you will be knowing this one. For our email transaction etc., we use that pretty good privacy. Many a time actually you might have heard this one. So PGP, that is actually nothing but a very simple algorithm, but very powerful algorithm. That is your IDEA algorithm. You have Blowfish, you have actually RC4, 5 and 6 various encryption algorithms. All these actually are private key cryptographic techniques. And we use all these in our day-to-day life, in our financial transactions. Many times, mostly we are using this triple DES algorithm. Okay. So here actually what happens, the key is very important. No. So what the Kirkus principle, what it says, the adversary should not know the key. Adversary means somebody who is not the intended recipient. Other than the intended recipient, anybody else is an adversary who want to actually get hold of our message, which are not authorized but want to get hold of our message. It's adversary. So they should not know the key. So actually the confidentiality of this scheme relies upon the key. So key should not be known. And actually you can make all other things actually public. For example, the encryption algorithm, the decryption algorithm, all these has to be made public. Only the key has to be kept secret. So the total actually encryption system should means depend upon the confidentiality or the security of the entire system should depend upon the key. That is actually what the Korkus principle say. Actually, he has given 6 different principles, and out of that, actually, these first 2 are very important. The system must be practically, if not mathematically, indecipherable. That means actually, our cryptographic system should be so much robust that if not mathematically means what happens? Let's suppose every system, because these are actually finite domain means let's suppose technology. So here, if I say by making use of thousands of supercomputers in 200 years of time, I can actually decipher a particular ciphertext. So, okay, that is actually meaningless for me, because by that time, actually, that particular piece of information will not be any more confidential. No. So, if somebody can actually decipher something after 50, 60 years of time, or let's suppose 100 years of time using many computers, that is actually not going to pose any threat to the confidentiality of my system, my information. So, if it is not mathematically, still actually practically it should be indecipherable. That means our system should remain actually secure practically for a certain period of time. And second one is this. That means actually the encryption and decryption algorithm should not require secrecy. That what actually I just explained. The algorithms, encryption and decryption algorithms, they need not to be secret. We can actually publicly share, and we have shared. The way actually I told you, DES, AES, IDEA, all these actually algorithms are public. Every means the codes are available to us, the principles are available to us, everything is made public. So the system has to be made public. Only the key has to be kept secret. Okay, so if the adversary gets the means how it is done, still they should not be able to get the information, or they should not be able to decrypt. That is actually the principle of Korkus principle. What it says that the algorithms need not to be kept secret, but the key to be kept secret. Any question? Any question? Any question from anybody? Okay, so here Korkus principle demands that security relies solely on the secrecy of the key. It is actually not necessary that we have to keep the algorithm secret. So, if we have to actually keep the algorithm secret, actually it will be very difficult, because algorithms or the programs, the codes, they will be very lengthy, and each time, let's suppose you have to write new codes for transmission, then it will be very difficult for us. But key will be a short piece of information, and that can be easily kept secret, and we can actually work with these things. Okay. So, advantages of open cryptographic design. Open cryptographic design means following the Korkus principle. That means we will not keep our encryption decryption algorithm secret. We will just make the keep the key secret. Only key will be secret, and algorithms will be public. That is actually open cryptographic system. So, if we are actually following on open cryptographic system, then what will happen? Published design undergo public scrutiny and are therefore likely to be stronger. So, because actually everybody know the algorithm, so they will point out if there is some loophole, so our system will be much stronger. And as if there is actually security flaw, then that also will be known at the early stage. So, it is not like that there is a flaw in my algorithm and I have implemented it, and later on actually they made use of that loophole to manipulate me. So, it will not happen also. So, it will not happen if we are going for open cryptography. And here actually, as I have also told you that keeping a particular key means it is a small key, so that we can keep actually keeping all the algorithms secret and rewriting algorithms again and again. So now with this actually let me briefly tell you few historical ciphers. These are actually not very robust ciphers, but just to understand how actually the plain text is converted to ciphertext and what is actually the evolutionary history of cryptography. So we generally give this seizure cipher. We term this is the means first or primitive cipher technique. Here what happens? There is actually plain text, and plain text alphabets has to be actually rotated 3 letters. For example, A has to be replaced with a D, B has to be replaced with E, and so on. So that is actually Caesar cipher. It was actually introduced by Julius Caesar, and during actually World War time, this particular method was successfully used to communicate information between parties. So here what will happen? For example, begin the attack now can be actually if the plain text is begin the attack now, then the ciphertext will be just 3 places, add 3. So B is 2 and add 3 to it, so it is actually 5. So the 5th character is E. Similarly, E add 3 to it, H, like this. So this is actually the clear text or the plain text, and by encrypting it using this Caesar cipher technique, the Caesar cipher will get something like this. Now anybody can understand this one, but this is not of course intelligible. No. But if you will decipher it back, that means how you will decipher? You will just subtract 3 from each of the characters and you will get back the original message. So this is actually a very simple cipher technique. So here the disadvantage is the method is fixed. That means every time we are adding 3 to each character. So once you know the method, that what we have done, we have made use of Caesar cipher, then you can easily decipher. So there is actually no secrecy to this particular scheme. It was actually the very primitive scheme, and of course there is absolutely no secrecy to this one. Then the SIP cipher or a modified version of the Caesar cipher, here what it says, instead of actually rotating the alphabets by 3 characters, let us rotate it by some n number of characters. So the value of n can be between 0 to 25. In this case, what will happen? Actually, I will have some key between 0 to 25. So the encryption algorithm is actually I have some plain text alphabet and there is a key, and I will make use of this particular equation and I will get the encrypted text, and for decryption I have actually the ciphertext is available to me. I will subtract the key and I will get back the plain text. For example, let's suppose my key is 7. So if the plain text is math is fun, then what will be the ciphertext? M has to be shifted 7 characters. So M is 13 plus 7 is 20. So 20th character is T. So M will be replaced by T, A will be replaced by H. So math is fun, it is the clear text or the plain text, and this one is the ciphertext. Once again, this is also a very easy technique. Just you have to find out how many characters it has been shifted. So it is also not a very secure skill. For example, I have actually given you some ciphertext. Let's suppose this is one assignment to the student audience, whoever actually the students here, they can try this one. So if my ciphertext is something like this, what is the plain text? Here actually I am not telling you what is the key. Key can be anything. Key can be anything between 0 to 25. So you people can actually try and you can let the answer known to me over my email address or something. So this is one assignment. So here actually what happens in first case, in case of Caesar cipher, the key was only 3. So there was actually no key, you can say. And in the second case, there were only 26 different keys. So what happens if keys are so small, then anybody can decrypt it. So it demands that the key space, the sufficient key space principle says that keep large enough. That means actually possible number of keys should be much higher, so that somebody will not be able to guess the key in finite amount of time. So it demands that at least 2 to the power 60. The key space should be at least 2 to the power 60. Okay. Then we have this monoalphabetic substitution, where actually we have a very large key space. Here the alphabets will be randomly shifted by any alphabet, any other alphabet. So here we have actually a very high key space, that is 2 to the power 8. Still actually this is not a very secure algorithm. For example, here let's suppose I have randomly selected the keys. Previously what was happening? A particular alphabet was shifted by some other alphabets. Means let's suppose by 3 characters or 7 characters or 25 characters, something like this. Here there is no standard principle like this. I can actually at my wish can substitute any alphabet with any other alphabet. So I have actually 26 factorial ways of shifting or means substituting one alphabet with some other alphabet. So I will be actually having some scheme like this, let's suppose. So if using this particular key, if my plain text teacher tell him about me, then what will the ciphertext? T has to be replaced with W, E has to be replaced with D, and like this you can actually find out the ciphertext. And from the ciphertext you can get back the plain text also if this reference table is available to you. Okay. So to actually, let's suppose you don't have the reference table or the key, then how you will be able to break this particular means technique. So here the key space is very high, 2 to the power 88. So practically we'll may feel that it is not possible. But still actually we can say that using brute force attack, it may not be possible to break this type of cipher. But using some systematic approach, like actually if we will make use of some statistical approach, then we can easily break this one. So statistical approach, here what happens, we know that in English text, if we know that the plain text was written in English, then in English we have actually some frequencies, character frequencies like this. We can actually find out the or this is actually established character frequency, you can say. That many in any actually English text, E will be occurring most of the time. Okay, so the frequency of occurrence of E is 12.7, that is highest. Then frequency of occurrence of A is 8.2. So given a particular ciphertext, you just find out the frequency of various letters. And the particular character that occurs highest number of time, probably that will be an E. And the second highest one probably will be 1T or something. So you just go on substituting the alphabets that way and you can break easily. Okay. So though brute force attack, using brute force attack it will not be possible to break, still we can actually break this type of ciphers. So all these primitive ciphers are actually not more secure. So I have given here one more example to the students. Hello. Hello. So here one more example to this for the students. They can try to break this particular code. You can keep a screenshot of this one and you can try to break this one. What is written here? So what principle you have to use? You have to actually find out the character frequencies and then you have to make use of this particular means frequency table. And you should try to find out what message is given here. Okay. So this is about the private key cryptography or symmetric key cryptography. In symmetric key cryptography, what will happen? A single key will be used to encrypt as well as decrypt. And there is another scheme, that is the public key cryptography or asymmetric key cryptography. In asymmetric key cryptography, what will happen? Once again, the key generation algorithm will be used to generate key, but now this time two keys will be generated. One public key, another private key. As the name suggests, public key has to be made public. You can actually make it public through, let's suppose, website publication, through newspaper advertisement or anything. Actually, public key is public. Anybody should know this one. And anybody whoever wants to communicate privately with me, they have to actually use this public key to encrypt their message and they will send me. But for decryption, this particular key will not be useful. For decryption, I need this private key. So what will happen? If Alice is the receiver, if I am the receiver, I have to actually generate these two keys and I will be distributing this public key to all the participants who want to communicate with me, and they need to actually encrypt their messages through this public key and they have to send. So what happened here? Let's suppose Bob want to communicate with Alice privately using this public key cryptography. Then Bob will generate some clear text and will encrypt using the Alice public key. Public key use करके से तको encrypt करेगा. Then this is actually the encrypted text, which is certainly unintelligible. Here actually I cannot make out anything out of this particular text, and this text will be transmitted. When it will reach Alice what has to do? She has to actually decrypt it using the private key. So you cannot actually decrypt the encrypted message using the public key. You need the private key. So private key, you use the private key, decrypt it, and you get the message. So this is actually the mathematical definition of public key cryptography. Here again we will use these three functions. Generation is for key generation, encryption and decryption, and the key generation algorithm will generate two keys. One is the private public key, another one is the secret key. Okay, two keys are there. The private key, this is the private key, this is the public key. And the encryption algorithm, encryption, anybody they can actually encrypt information, can send me, but once they have encrypted, they will not be able to decrypt it. Okay, so the ciphertext will be created by encrypting the plain text message using the public key. Okay, and this ciphertext will be transmitted. The receiver, after receiving the ciphertext, will decrypt it using the secret key. Okay. And the clear text for the original message will be received. So this is the public key cryptography, and it's a very widely used technique nowadays, because in case of symmetric key cryptography, the problem is how to transmit the key. There is a single key, and how that key will be transmitted from the let's suppose sender to the receiver without actually getting into the hands of an adversary. That was a bigger problem. So to solve this one, actually this public key cryptography schemes emerged, and here actually we need not to transmit the secret key. The secret key always will remain secretly with the receiver, and those who want to communicate, they only will encrypt their messages through public key, and the receiver has got the secret key, she will decrypt it using that secret key. Okay. So there are actually many public key cryptography algorithms available to us, and public key cryptography here actually Diffie-Hellman, they are the proposers of this public key cryptography scheme, but they have not given any encryption algorithm. They have given actually key exchange algorithm. So Diffie-Hellman key exchange algorithm here actually how secretly you can transmit the private key. That was actually this about this DS algorithm. Then we have actually many algorithms like your RSA is a very popular algorithm, digital signature standards, then AlGamal, then elliptic curve cryptography. There are actually many public key cryptography schemes available to us, and sometimes if we'll have another seminar on computer science, we can actually have a discussion on all these topics. So with this, I think I'll complete my discussion here. And these are some of the books, those who are interested with cryptography, because this is actually very interesting thing and interesting subject, and we use it in our everyday life. So if students, some of you are interested to study more on cryptography, you can use these books. Okay. So with this, let me start. If there is any question.
Thank you, madam. Thank you very much. You beautifully discussed about cryptography and goal of cryptography, basic terminology, private key of cryptography, and it is purely very informative and helpful. It's really very informative and very helpful for all of us. So I can thank you so much, madam.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. And thank you all. Okay.
So now we'll go to the question and answer session. One of the participants asked question asked to the Gopal Chandra Das to Sridhar sir about how a layman can use mathematics in this day-to-day life. Sir, please.
Yeah, I think if I understood the question well, then perhaps he is asking if someone has no knowledge in mathematics, like a farmer, and means he has not been to school. If you are asking about him, then I will tell we cannot tell that you use this mathematics, but he himself is using. By like Minati Madam told that we don't know, we are using many things in cryptography, many things. It's full of mathematics we are using, but we don't know. Many people don't know. Similarly, the laymen said they don't know that they are using mathematics. Like when they are buying vegetables from market, they are even they are counting their number of how can tell some kind of whatever numbers, counting their whatever, doing the things. So simple things they are using the mathematics. So, and if you are asking a knowledgeable person, but he has no mathematics proper background, having no mathematics background, and how he is being used, how he will use mathematics. So it is a very tough question to tell how he will use, because it depends on him. Suppose, for example, we are doing some kind of multiplications. People are doing multiplications in various ways. Someone use calculator, someone using mind, but it depends on him actually. So it is a very really tough question. If I can explain your question well, please ask me once more what I exactly want to know about. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Another question?
Hello.
Yes, sir.
My question to Minati Madam. So, what is the difference between block cipher and stream cipher?
Okay, very good question. So, in case of a block cipher, what we will do, we will actually take the text as a block. And in case of stream cipher, what we will do, actually we will encrypt it bit by bit. That is stream. So, block means a block of bits will be encrypted at once. So, that will be taken as a single unit and will be encrypted. In case of stream cipher, we will actually encrypt it bit by bit. That is the difference. Actually, there are block ciphers and the ciphers, whatever actually I have given in my example, are all block ciphers. But we are also having stream ciphers. Sometimes actually we can have some discussion on all these things also. Just to give the definition, it is actually bit by bit, it's a stream.
Okay, madam. Which is more secure?
Actually, we are making use of block ciphers, and block ciphers are widely used, and they are actually considered to be secure. Okay, both will be secure, but which is handy, which is actually practical, that we actually block. We are actually making use of block ciphers.
Next
So, actually, all these ciphers are block ciphers. Most of the ciphers are block ciphers.
Which is very faster and more secure, perhaps steel cipher.
No, only block. Block is easy to handle, so definitely block is means if the information. Let's suppose actually we are representing in ASCII. So ASCII is 8 character. So it will be easier for us to process 8 characters at a time. Not actually every bit at a time. No, so block cipher.
Okay, fine. Thank you, madam.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, carry on, Sasita.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, madam. So there are no more questions. Now we will go to the concluding part. Now I request to Pina Das, Assistant Professor, Department of Mathematics, Jammu College, Maharashtra, for the delivering vote of thanks. Sir, please.
Thank you, madam, for giving me opportunity to deliver vote of thanks. First of all, I would like to propose heartily vote of thanks to Dr. Sridhar Nayak, Assistant Professor, Digital Presentation Research Institute in Kyoto University, Japan, for making excellent presentation and making this webinar interesting and meaningful. Thank you, sir. You have really guided us with your valuable talk. Department of ICT in FM University, Baleswar, for her dynamic presentation and for perfect logistics support and guidance she has extended to all of us in this webinar. Thank you, madam. I express my sincere thanks to deep sense of gratitude to our principal madam, Mistress Jayanti Naik, Ramana Degree College, for her able guidance and support to organizing this webinar in our college. Thank you, madam. I also wish to express my gratitude to Mistress Sasmita Roy, HOD of the Department of Mathematics, Ramana Degree College, Baleswar, for her constant support and encouragement in making this webinar a grand success. Thank you, madam. I also extend my thanks to all the participants across the nation or outside the nation for this enormous cooperation and sparing this valuable time to become a part of this webinar. Lastly, I heartily thank to all the participants and organizing members, degree staff, technical support members, media channels of this webinar. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you so much, sir. So now we will end the session. And the feedback link will also be provided in the WhatsApp group and the Telegram channel. Thank you so much, sir, and thank you, madam. Thanks to all the participants. So this session is over.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.